When I was 17, I learned that people love to measure your worth by what's in your wallet. Back in high school, I wasn't rich. Not even close. My parents worked 2 jobs each just to keep food on the table. We didn't go on vacations. And college savings was just a phrase I heard other kids say. Meanwhile, my classmates came from families where money wasn't a problem. They wore designer clothes, drove new cars, and already had college deposits paid. I was the girl who took the bus and brought packed lunches. When senior year rolled around, everyone was talking about their college acceptances. I got into my dream school, but when I told my classmates, they laughed. One of them said, "Wait, you? How are you even going to pay for it?" I smiled, pretending it didn't sting, but that question burned into my mind for months. My guidance counselor even suggested community college, saying, maybe start small. Your situation's limited. But I wasn't limited, just broke. There's a difference. So while everyone else was celebrating acceptance letters, I started working. Weekends, nights, holidays, cashier shifts, waitressing, tutoring. Anything that paid. My parents felt guilty, but I told them, don't worry, I'll make it work. And I did. I applied for every scholarship I could find. Dozens, maybe hundreds. I wrote essays until my fingers cramped. One night at 3 a.m., I got the email that changed everything. A full academic scholarship. Tuition, housing, everything covered. When I told my classmates, they went silent. Then someone muttered, "Must be nice getting pity money." I laughed it off, but that comment stayed with me. It became fuel. College wasn't easy. I worked part-time, studied full-time, and learned to survive on coffee and ambition. While others were partying, I was building. I started a small business, a freelance design studio, just to earn extra cash. By senior year, it wasn't small anymore. Clients kept coming. Companies wanted my work. Fast forward 4 years. I graduated top of my class, debt-free, and with a growing client list. 2 years later, that side hustle became a company. My company. We built websites, branding, and digital campaigns. Within 3 years, I had an office, employees, and contracts with major brands. My name, the one they used to mock, was now on the door. And then it happened. One morning, I got an email from a familiar name, Chloe, one of the girls who used to laugh at my broke girl dreams. She wrote, "Hey, I saw your company's hiring. I'd love to apply." I stared at the screen for a long moment before replying, "Sure, send your resume." She wasn't the only one. Within a week, 2 more classmates applied, the same ones who used to joke about me bringing homemade lunches. When Chloe came in for her interview, she didn't recognize me right away. She looked around my office. The glass walls, the logo on the wall, the team working in silence, and said, "Wow, this place is amazing. Who owns it?" I smiled and said, "You're looking at her." Her face froze. "Wait, you?" I nodded. "Yeah, the girl who couldn't afford college." She laughed nervously, tried to recover, but it was too late. The silence between us said everything. I didn't reject her out of revenge. I just told her the truth. "You're talented, Chloe, but I built this company on respect, not ego. That's what we value here." She didn't get the job. But that moment, that look in her eyes, was worth more than any paycheck. Now, when I walk into my office every morning, I remember the girl who was told she couldn't afford her dreams. And I smile, because she didn't just afford them, she built them. So when people ask me what success feels like, I tell them this. It's not about money. It's about walking into the room they once locked you out of, and realizing you now own the key. It's funny how life works. When I started my company, I told myself I'd never look back, never think about the people who doubted me. But life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. A few months after Chloe's interview, our company landed a massive project, one that could double our revenue overnight. It was exciting and terrifying. We needed to expand the team fast. My HR manager came to me one morning with a list of new applicants, and right there, second from the top, was a name I hadn't seen in years. Ethan Miller. Back in high school, Ethan wasn't cruel, just careless. The kind of person who joined in on the jokes but never thought about how much they hurt. I remember the day he said, "You'll drop out after a semester. College isn't for people like you." And now, he was asking for a job. At first, I wanted to delete his application, but something stopped me. Maybe curiosity, maybe closure. So I told HR, call him in. When Ethan walked into the office, he looked different, older, tired, maybe even humbled. His suit was too big, his resume short. He didn't recognize me right away. But the moment I introduced myself, his face went pale. "Wait," he said, blinking. "You're the CEO?" I nodded. "Yeah. The girl who wasn't supposed to make it past freshman year." He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "I guess I deserve that." Then he looked down, voice softer. "I lost my job last year. I've been trying to get back on my feet. I know I don't deserve this chance, but I really need it." Something about his tone hit me. He wasn't proud anymore, just human. So I told him the truth. "Ethan, I started this company to build what I never had. Opportunity. You hurt me once, but I'm not going to become the person who shuts the door on someone else. You've got one shot. Make it count." He looked stunned. Then he said quietly, "Thank you. I won't waste it." Weeks passed. Ethan worked harder than anyone I'd hired. He stayed late, asked questions, helped new interns, and for the first time, I realized something. People can change when life humbles them. One evening, we were both finishing late when he said, "I used to think success was luck. But watching you, I get it now. You earned every bit of it." I smiled and said, "It's never about proving people wrong, Ethan. It's about proving yourself right." That night, as I locked up, I looked around my office. The same office people once said I'd never have. And I thought about all the versions of me that didn't give up. And I realized success doesn't need revenge. It just needs time. Because sometimes the best payback isn't watching them fail. It's giving them the chance to rise beside you, and still knowing exactly who built the ladder. 6 months passed, and Ethan proved me right to give him that second chance. He wasn't the same arrogant boy from high school anymore. He listened, learned fast, and owned his mistakes. My team respected him, so did I. For a while, everything felt perfect. Until one morning, perfection cracked. I got a call from our biggest client, the one that had helped us grow faster than I ever dreamed. They said they were pulling out. A project delay, a missed deadline, a misunderstanding. It didn't matter. In business, one mistake can erase years of trust. By the time I hung up, my chest felt tight. If we lost that contract, we'd lose everything. Investors, clients, maybe even the company. For the first time since I started it, I felt scared. Ethan walked into my office that afternoon holding a folder. He could see it on my face. "It's the client, isn't it?" he asked. I nodded. He didn't hesitate. "Let me talk to them." I blinked. "Ethan, that's not your department." He smiled a little. "Maybe not. But I used to work with their brand before I lost my last job. I know how they think." I didn't have much to lose, so I said yes. That night, he stayed late drafting a presentation. I watched him work, focused, relentless, and realized something had changed. This wasn't about me proving myself anymore. It was about trusting someone else to rise. The next morning, Ethan led the meeting with the client. I sat in the corner, silent, letting him take the floor. He spoke calmly with honesty, admitting our mistakes, offering solutions, showing them our plan to rebuild trust. He didn't defend himself. He defended us. When the meeting ended, the client shook his hand and said, "We'll give you another chance." That's when I realized Ethan hadn't just saved the deal. He'd saved everything I'd built. After the call, he turned to me and said, "You gave me a second chance. I figured it was time I earned it." I didn't say anything for a moment. I just smiled and said, "You did." Later that night, I stayed in the office alone. The city lights reflected off the glass walls, and I thought about how life can flip in ways you never expect. The people who once doubted you can become the ones who keep you standing. And sometimes redemption doesn't come with apologies. It comes with actions. Now, every time someone asks me how I built this company, I tell them the truth. Not with money, not with luck, but with grit, forgiveness, and a few unexpected second chances. Because success isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to.